One of the more interesting phones in a while. It's the CMF Phone 1 by Nothing. My full review, written review, is up on Android Police right now. Link for that will be in the description. We're going to be doing several videos on this phone because I think it's interesting. We're going to be comparing it to the Galaxy A15, some distinct advantages there, and some other mid-range devices as well. Because, everyone's going to start with the design, and rightfully so. It's a fun phone. I wish more people, you can have fun and style at $200, and I don't understand why, if manufacturers and OEMs are going to be using plastic backs and frames and stuff like that anyway on these cheaper devices, why you wouldn't lean into it, why you wouldn't have a bit of fun with it and kind of create something around it, which nothing has done with the CMF Phone 1. But even if you take that away, and even if you regard all of the stuff and the accessory point and all the rest of it as a gimmick, which I don't, and we'll go over that later as well, even if you do and you dismiss all of that, you're still, especially here in the United States, looking at what I think is the best phone you could buy for $200. So beta program here in the U.S., much like the Nothing Phone 2A and some other devices that Nothing has as well. It's kind of a shame. Wish we were getting a full release. I don't know if it's a capacity thing, if Nothing just can't support that kind of manufacturing, because this device is going to be very popular overseas, especially for that price point. But let's talk about it. Let's go down the line. Let's start with that design. Unique design. I like the mix and match stuff you can have with the cases. I like the fact that there's basically like a MagSafe case almost. There's a plate that goes here as well, but you can have kind of the wallet case. You can have the lanyard accessory point here. You can have the stand, but then there's also the cases themselves. I had a picture on the Android Police article where you mix and match. I have the blue case, the dark blue case on it, but I put the orange accessory point here for a little pop of color. The SIM card trays can change as well. You can mix and match there. I'm sure they'll release other colors down the line, but I just think it was a really interesting thing to do with it. We're going to replace one of these live a little bit later on so you can see the process. It's not something that you just kind of snap off and go, so it's more than a case, which is a good thing because it's a little less flimsy, adds some rigidity to the back of the device. You're going to feel secure with it on there, but there are those 4 screws and the screw here for the accessory point. Got to take the SIM tray out, so it's a bit of an operation. Takes about 3 or 4 minutes if you know what you're doing. On camera, it'll probably take a lot longer because we're doing it live, and live demos always go wrong. But that's kind of the style. Buy it for the style, stay for the performance, and the rest of the stuff that you get. Let's start with the display. A gorgeous display, AMOLED display, 6.67-inch display, 1080p, 120 hertz. But let me tell you something. I am always impressed by OLED displays at this price point, $200, and not, unlike the A15 one, which I liked because it was an OLED, it was bright, and all the rest of it. This is bright as well, but the color's better on this. The vibrancy's better. The saturation's better. It's a bit more accurate as well. The colors aren't as flat as they are on the A15 sometimes. So this is a really gorgeous display. I was watching other reviews and stuff on it yesterday, video, movies, games. Pokemon Go looks phenomenal on this phone. So that's a really great display, and in my mind, a best-in-case display for under $200. Performance as well, 8 gigs of RAM. That's big. That's huge on these budget devices. When you're talking $200 and you're talking 8 gigs of RAM versus something like an A15, you're looking at 4 gigs of RAM. A Dimensity 7300, which is a noticeably more powerful processor than the 6100 Plus or the Helio G99 that we're usually saddled with in this price range. Those are serviceable chipsets, don't get me wrong, but the 7300, really, I did not notice that much lag and slowdown just doing normal things. Genshin Impact, yes, it runs on lowest settings. I understand that, but it runs smoothly on the lowest settings. Pokemon Go, no hitches, nothing like that. If you really call down for a lot more performance on AAA titles, or you're doing video editing or photo editing or something like that, yes, you're going to feel that you're using a budget device. However, if you just stay on the rails, Twitter or Instagram, all the rest of it, Facebook, you're not going to notice, and you really forget that you're using a $200 device. At the end of when I'm using like the really budget devices, like $150, $200, there's a lot of times where I'm like, oh man, I'm really glad I'm back on my S24 Ultra. It's like, I'm really glad I'm back on my Pixel 8 Pro. I'm really glad I'm back into a Fold. I don't feel that with this phone. I don't feel that at all. I go through it, and I would happily use this, especially with the different design elements that you could get on this phone. I would happily daily this as my Android phone without really missing. Now, of course, it's slower than those devices. It doesn't have the same pop. Will you notice the difference between your Phone 1 and your S24 Ultra when you use them back-to-back? Of course you will. But you're not paying $1,200. You're paying $200. That's a significant difference. Software-wise, also, I know a lot of people, overseas reviewers and stuff like that, and other people that live overseas are going to be like, well, we have a lot of choice at $200 for that. That's fine. I get it. Here's why it's different for the United States. The beta program obviously makes it difficult. T-Mobile, I had no problem. AT&T and Verizon, apparently, if you're whitelisted ahead of time, you could use it through the beta program. But even overseas, to me at this point, nothing OS and nothing software is a known quantity. It's something that you could be comfortable with. It's something that you're going to get certain updates. In fact, it's doing an update right now, and I want to go ahead and go in here because I want to show you how they handle updates. And you could see system update available. Look at these patch notes. Okay, they're clear. They're in English. There's several things that you know that they're working on, that they're focused on. I always love the patch notes for Nothing. Nothing OS 2.6 is nice. I love the Nothing aesthetic. Yes, you're only getting 2 major upgrades of Android and 3 years of security updates. But unlike the Moto devices that we complain about, you're waiting a year, you're going to get timely updates here. Like I'm downloading the January patch right now on my Nothing. That was what you saw there on my CMF Phone 1. So unlike other ones, if you give me 2 major upgrades and 3 years of support, but you deliver it in a timely fashion, I'm going to look more favorably upon your device for $200. And that's what we're looking at here with the CMF Phone 1. So, camera, we're going to throw up some shots. Really nice. It is a single camera system. Don't get it twisted. It is a 50 megapixel. That other sensor there isn't another. It's like a depth sensor or whatever. For look, good color, good saturation, not overblown saturation. Really balanced color, really like the images. And that's one thing that, look, if you can knock out the nonsense and don't give me 4 sensors and a 2 megapixel macro and all this other garbage, give me one serviceable lens on a $200 phone and I'm happy. Really liked the point and shoot ability of the CMF Phone 1. Again, it's not going to deliver the depth and the whatever else and the detail or whatever of all these fancy phones, but you know what? It doesn't have to for $200. Really good. Battery, 5,000 milliamp hour battery, 33-watt wired charging, about 5.5, 6 hours of screen on time, so not phenomenal there. But if the trade-off is that extra power from the Dimensity 7300, I could live with that. No NFC. That's going to be a big deal, especially overseas. Here in the United States, if you do tap to pay and stuff like that, maybe that's the thing for you. Not really a huge issue for me. I don't use it a whole lot, but if that's something that bugs you or if you need a phone with NFC, then that's something that you're going to want to look at. Again, in the United States, the fastest 5G bands you might not get and all the rest of it. Hopefully, Nothing sees fit to send us a full release. So let's go ahead and do that real quick here at the end. Let's go ahead and take this back off. So we're going to unscrew the accessory port right here, the accessory point where you can put the lanyard and the strap. There's some really interesting stuff that you could do with that. Let's make sure we don't poke the microphone here at the bottom. Not fast by any means, but you really have to concentrate on what you're doing. So that's why it's going to be tough for me. But at the same time, it's really neat that you can completely change the look of your phone as we try to get that in here. It is tough with this with the flathead here. It's a little bit different going in there. And we're going to go back and forth. But overall, like I said, if you can get one in the United States, if you're okay with maybe some iffy coverage on T-Mobile, then this is a phone that you're definitely going to want to look at. And even if you're not interested in the design, it's got kind of that teenage engineering thing going on, which I know is either a love it or hate it type deal. But I like the fact that it's fun for $200. I said it earlier in the review, if you can sit there and do this and have a situation where you're going to have plastic frames and all the rest of it anyway, at least make it fun. At least give us different colors. I remember my Lumia, fans of the channel are going to understand I'm a Windows Phone fan. My Lumia 830, I remember taking those backs off and buying replacement backs and whatever else. I had an orange one I bought. I got a back that was the line back and all the rest of it. Really, really enjoyed it. Okay, so you got that. You anchor yourself here. They say pull from the SIM tray. I just pull from the whatever of the device. You go ahead and hold that there. I think we did that, right? Got all the screws here. Takes a bit of, it's not an everyday thing. It's not something you're going to do just on a whim for whatever, but it doesn't take that much. We're making it look a lot harder than it is right now because we're doing a live demo. But go ahead and do that. Take it off. Then we're going to go ahead and get the other ones. We got the SIM tray. We got this. We won't do the screws. I won't bore you with that. But you get the general idea here. There it is. And then you can change that, screw it in, and you're good to go. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.